Hey, what's going on YouTube? This your boy Jamardi4 here once again. I hope this camera is adjusted correctly because it looks odd. Okay, that should be good. So, we're back again for another one of these horror story reaction videos. Now, I saw that the artist, the Llama Arts page, put up a new um, animated horror story. So we get to watch one that's already animated. So after we watch that one, we're going to then go over to one of the ones that's not animated on Mr. Nightmare's page. Make sure you guys are like, commenting, subscribing, sharing these videos so everybody else can join the fun. So let's go ahead and join in. This is school lockdown story. So another one of them crazy people about to walk up into school acting fool. Let's see.
I'm 22 years old, fresh out of college, and I recently got a job at my old high school as a sort of computer intern in the school basement. The basement of the school is very messy and disorganized, but there is a small 3-person office that's actually very nice down there. It has 3 nice big desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat screen TV mounted on the wall, and oh so satisfying air conditioning, a luxury the students and teachers cannot enjoy in the school. And of course, all the school servers and other computery stuff.
Wait. Did they just hold on?
I got the job because Let
me rewind. Cause did they just say? Did y'all see the outside on when they showed that classroom? How everybody was? It was like hell and fire. Baby, that's so real. Because what was it? Either high school? I think it was my high school, my old high school before they tore it down. Man, it was so hot up in there, especially on the top floors, it made no sense.
I got the job because 3 of my old computer teachers flat out adored me. I could actually consider them as real friends, not just teacher figures, so they all helped tremendously in landing me this job. It's been great, until something that happened a few weeks ago. My 2 co-workers that shared the office with me, Dave and Gary, weren't in the office at the time. They were upstairs working on papers or whatever. I was eating my sandwich during my lunch break when I got a phone call from one of the women in the front office telling me the school was on lockdown and that somebody, possibly armed, had entered the school. There wasn't much that I could do other than turn off the lights because, surprisingly, as nice as this little office was, it didn't have an actual door to it, just a big opening, and the door to the whole basement didn't even have a working lock. For my own safety,
What kind of shit is that? So y'all have enough for air conditioning and AC, but y'all ain't got enough to put a door? What kind of schools? These school lockdown stories, they be having some faulty school systems, cause ain't no way you. All right, y'all need y'all to get y'all stuff together because ain't no way I'm about to be down there. I can't have no lock. Somebody come down there that's armed. What I'm gonna do? What I'm gonna do?
did turn off all the lights in the office and my computer screen. I kept my phone on the desk, texting both Gary and Dave, but they wouldn't respond. I sat down there in the dark, playing games on my phone for like 20 minutes, waiting for the call from up front to tell me to resume working. I had no idea what was happening. I couldn't hear what was going on upstairs from down here.
Wait a minute. Hold on, sir. If somebody just told you that somebody possibly just entered the school armed with a weapon, you not gonna maybe try to peek out the door to see if anything's going on? Especially since it ain't got no lock. You want to kind of get something to prepare yourself for battle, like they ain't got no blunt object, something you can pick up. Hell, do I gotta pick up my shoe or something? Like, at least look out the door to kind of see, like, do you see people running around? Like, do you see somebody in the hallway? You can be like, hey, what's up? Do you know anything? Like, why you about to sit there and playing Angry Birds on your phone? I don't think so.
But I was not allowed to make any calls until I was informed that the lockdown was over.
Shit.
Then the noisy basement door opened. As the creaking echoed across the basement and into my office, I sat up from my seat, wondering if I should call out Gary or Dave. I was eager to get some info from them. Someone then came running down the stairs, and their footsteps were approaching my office. I pushed away my chair and crawled under my desk. Somebody entered the office but did not turn on the lights. There was just silence. I can't even describe the fear I was experiencing. I felt like if I made one sudden noise, I'd be a dead man. Suddenly, my phone dinged as I got a text message. I felt my entire
Of course, and you know what? That's my same text tone. My same text tone. And then the moment where you just shit yourself. Oh Lord, I know he is pissed at whoever just said, "Why wouldn't y'all texting me when I was trying to get something from y'all?" Now, when I'm sitting here holding my breath, you want to send a message back, and it better say more than LOL. It better say more than okay. Don't y'all hate that?
world shrivel up and die at that one moment as I clenched my teeth in fear. Footsteps suddenly moved closer to me until I finally dove out from under the desk in capitulation, begging whoever it was not to kill me.
You did what? Are you kidding? I thought he was about to say he dove out, tackled the person to the ground, and was trying to find out who it was. He, you dove out and tried to beg for forgiveness. Jesus, I think I would have probably tackled to the ground, but like instinct. I need to make sure that even if you are somebody that's gonna hurt me, I'm gonna make sure you disarmed or knocked out or something.
And just then, someone grabbed my arm and pulled me up. It was some guy in a red plaid button-up, jeans, and a reddish-black cap. He told me, "It's okay, I'm just down here hiding with you." "What's going on up there?" I whispered to him. He kind of ignored my question and asked me if there's an exit down here. I told him, "Yeah, around that way."
Mm-mm.
Before he could do anything else, I asked him, "Who are you?" There was a brief moment of silence before he started explaining he was coming in to pick up his son when a teacher told him to hide. After his explanation, I checked my phone and saw the text I received was from Dave. It said, "Dude, this is fucking crazy. Some guy with a gun shot Mr. Buckley. He's wearing a red shirt and a hat. Whatever you do, don't come upstairs." I was about
Oh, see, I mean, you can tell by how shady he was that he was probably the killer. I'm like, So he's like, okay, so what do I do now? You know what? There's an exit right there. You do want to grab refreshments on your way out? Like, just get up out of here.
to reread that text out loud to the man until I realized.
He has a
I
gun.
looked up
He has a gun.
and felt my stomach sink. The man seemed to catch on to my suspicious stare. Panicking, all I could think to do was to run for the upstairs. A gunshot echoed through the basement and I could hear the bullet ricochet off something metal in the darkness. But thank God the bullet missed me and I made it upstairs. Fortunately, police were waiting at all exits, including the basement exit, and caught the man the second he opened the door. More good news, our teacher Mr. Buckley survived the gunshot. It was later determined that the man and Mr. Buckley had some beef for whatever reason, but that was never revealed. All we know is that Mr. Buckley couldn't have done anything that would have warranted this kind of reaction. And I know that the sound of that gunshot will forever echo in my mind.
Oh, baby. Oh Lord, this is why y'all school system. Y'all need when y'all go on lockdown. Y'all need to make it so that the doors and important exits and stuff like that are locked. Don't be having these basements where you have your employees just uh available to just run through with no kind of security. That's stupid. That defeats the whole purpose to me. But I don't know, child. But here we go. So I'm gonna pause this and we'll be right back with the Mr. Nightmares version. All right, everybody, we're back, and I see on Mr. Nightmare's page he has 3 creepy real movie theater home stories. Now I know I love my movie theater, and I'm actually gonna go see I Black Panther next weekend, so I'm really excited about that. So I probably shouldn't be watching this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Let's do it.
was April of 2015. Me, my girlfriends, and my little brother, who was 9 years old, had gone to a small nearby movie theater on a Wednesday night to see the horror movie It Follows. We usually went late on weekends to get the whole theater to ourselves, plus I had off on Thursdays that semester. When we entered the theater, at first it seemed like we were the only ones inside, but then my little brother pointed somebody out. It was a man in a dark gray hoodie sitting in the top left corner seat in the theater. It was a little sketchy, but nobody would really give it a second thought. We picked upper middle row seats with a railing in front so we could put our feet up, and we each sat with an empty seat between us for more room. I know, that sounds weird to do with my girlfriend with me, but having my brother there made it a different story. I was sitting the closest to the edge, and therefore the closest to the one other guy in the room besides us. Within 5 minutes, the previews were over and the movie was starting. The lights in the theater dimmed to darkness, and the only light now was the light projecting from the screen. My little brother took out his bag of candies he snuck in and started to eat them obnoxiously loud. About 5 minutes into the movie, over my brother's loud candy wrapper noises, which we told him to stop for the record, I thought I heard a pretty loud sound come from above and behind us. I waited a few seconds to sneak a glance behind us, and saw that the guy that was sitting in the top corner had moved down a row, which was odd. But again, I didn't give it more than a second thought. Another 5 minutes later, when the movie was already starting to get interesting, I heard something from behind us again. I turned when I thought it wouldn't be too obvious, and again, the guy was a whole row closer to us. I leaned to my girlfriend and said while chuckling, "Don't look, but that guy keeps moving closer to the screen." She shrugged her shoulders and didn't even show interest in checking. I told myself if he did it again, then I would have a problem, and managed to get back into the movie. I'd say another 5 minutes later, without even hearing anything this time, I just turned around out of curiosity and saw the man a whole row closer, but this time he wasn't at the last seat of the row anymore. He was moved further down the row, closer to us.
Nah.
Now he was only 3 rows behind us.
No, I had to be like, what you doing up there, bruh? Why are you getting closer? Why you keep moving now? I look. I'm like, look, you know what? What's the rule? Is it 30 minutes into the movie you get your money back? I think it's 30, 20 minutes. I don't know. But once you got all that going on, I'm like, you know what, y'all? I can't do it. This this man doing the most. We the only ones up in here, and he's playing musical chairs, and I can't do it. I can't deal. Anybody got time for that?
I nudged my girlfriend and she turned around. Then she looked at me and gave me a confused, concerned kind of look. She asked me if we should move, and I said definitely not. At this point, I wasn't able to pay attention to the movie anymore. Even though I was facing the screen, I felt like the man's gaze was hitting me in the back of the head. I told myself if he moves closer, I would turn around and firmly ask him what he was doing. But then I also thought, what if I'm looking too much into this? What if he's just a normal guy who happens to keep switching seats for a better view? Once more, I turned around, and the man was only 2 rows away from us now, closer to the center of the row, or rather directly behind us, and his head was just completely down looking at his lap.
Nope.
I didn't even bother to check what he was looking at. He could have been looking at nothing. I literally opened my mouth ready to say something, but I was just too much of a coward. I was only 16 last year and pretty skinny. My little brother got up during a slow part of the movie to go to the bathroom. About a minute later, I turned to see if the man had gotten closer again, this time actually ready to say something. But I was shocked to see nobody behind us. It was completely empty. I told my girlfriend, and she said good. But then I stood up in pure fear, thinking of my little brother. Telling my girlfriend to wait there and running out of the room and into the empty theater halls, I saw the man in the gray hoodie entering the men's bathroom down the hall. Fearing for my little brother's safety, I ran down the hall toward the bathroom, opened the door, and saw the man literally on his knees peeking under the 2 stall doors. Then he looked at me, and at the same time I heard my little brother call me from down the hall. I saw him waving me over in confusion. I ran to him, got my girlfriend out of the movie room, and we went to the front desk. The teen working the front ticket stand called the police, showed us and the cops the video footage of the man walking down the hall, and then we filed a police report. I'm just so grateful that my brother went to a different bathroom down the opposite direction of the hall, because if he had been in there, even with my showing up to save him, I have no idea what would have happened. It's been over a year now, and the man was never identified.
Listen. See, that's why I don't be liking to go to movie theaters. Like, I mean, it's good to go like when it's empty, to where you kind of just enjoy with your friends, and not having to worry about disturbing other people or people being loud or whatever. But when you in there, anybody else that's in there have to be in front of me. Okay, I can't have nobody like that behind me, especially people that's by themselves. Like if you see maybe two people, like a couple or something, you see them talking. Okay, that usually is fine. But just one person in the back, nah, bruh. Now, unless you had done something with my brother, usually, like, if you see somebody attacking your family member, somebody that you care about, you really not gonna care too much about yourself. Or at least I would think so. Like, you would just try to get engaged. You would just get, like, enraged and let that adrenaline come pumping, and you just start, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba, you know? So, child, let's get into. I mean, I wonder how many more eerie movie theater stories there can be without it being some creepy person in the theater. We gonna find out. Let go.
Back in 2008, Cloverfield was one of the biggest movies of the year, and I desperately wanted to see it.
The fuck?
Most of my friends had already gone to see it, which upset me given that I didn't want to be seen going to the movie theater alone. However, I
Man, first, okay, real quick, let me tell you something. I enjoy going to movies by myself. Because I felt like I've had to, because either it was a movie that nobody was interested in seeing, or they've already seen it, or whatever the case may be. I wanted to see movies, or I don't even want to feel like I have to go and set up this whole thing to see a movie. I'm going by myself, and it'd be lovely. Okay, I'm just saying. Don't be ashamed to go to the movies by yourself. Now you just try it out, and you'd be surprised how relaxing it is.
didn't have work or school on Thursdays. So on Wednesday night, I figured I could get away with going alone to one of the small theaters nearby with a screening of the film at 9:30, since I knew it would be quiet. Well, I showed up, bought a ticket, and immediately realized the entire building was dead. I entered the theater, and much to my surprise, there was not a single person in there. There were two large sections of seats in the theater. I sat in the bottom row of the upper section, which was seated just behind a tiny wall. During the quiet parts of the movie, which were very few, I kept thinking that I was hearing something coming from behind me. It was almost like I was hearing a voice. Is someone there? Nothing. I felt like the sounds were just getting louder and closer, but I kept turning around and didn't see anyone. I felt like I was losing my mind. Eventually, the sounds became so loud that it was evident it was a crazed whispering. I was about to nope the fuck out of there, but when I got up and took one last look behind me, a figure popped up quickly from behind the seats just 2 rows up from me, arms flat to their sides and just facing me like a stiff statue. I ran like there was no tomorrow back to the lobby, where I saw nobody, not a single employee. I kept running to the car, took a few seconds to catch my breath once inside, and drove back home. I tried calling the theater that same night. I never got anyone to answer. I didn't bother the next day, and I just tried to let it go. It still freaks me out beyond imagination to this day.
I don't trust that. when when the whole building is empty and it's only 9:30. Oh, I mean, granted, it was on a Wednesday, but the whole building to be empty? It was haunted, and you can't tell me otherwise. Oh, Jesus.
One of my first jobs was working at a movie theater in Huntington on Long Island. It was an okay gig for a 16-year-old. Dealing with the general public in mass, you'll always run into creeps. However, there was one creep and one really weird situation that I still have nightmares about. It was a Monday, like 11 o'clock at night, and the last 2 playing movies were finishing up, which was earlier than usual. On weeknights, I would usually be out of there by midnight during the summer. Anyway, I was the only one working besides Kathy, the lady behind the popcorn counter who was closing up. I was sitting on the carpeted steps next to my ticket podium on my phone when Kathy yelled over to me to sweep the floors. She told me she was heading out and would be back within the hour to close up. I hurried up with the sweeping and sat back down to get back to playing a Tetris-like game on my flip phone. I was left alone a lot like this, and this was the one time during my shifts that I feared something such as a late-night robbery might easily take place. Suddenly, I heard the front door to the theater pull open with force. I stared down at the doorway to the lobby, which blocked the actual entrance section, waiting for someone to walk through, and hoping it would be Kathy. After all, she would have locked the doors anyway at this hour. I called out Kathy's name, and suddenly, an upper middle-aged man with a big brown faded jacket came wandering in, immediately locking his eyes onto mine. I told him we were closing up and he had to leave. He looked at me with a sort of intimidating Vincent Pastore kind of look on his face. He mumbled his words in his response, but I could make out his phrase to be, "Is Kathy here?" I shook my head no, and he mumbled, "I'm just gonna go sit down over there for a while." I was very against confrontations with other people, so my heart was racing, and I lacked the confidence to order him to leave. I sat back down on the step and pretended to be absorbed in my phone, when really I was texting Kathy telling her there was someone weird here for her. But with the old flip phones, texts took forever to send, and even longer for people to check. By the time the text was sent, I noticed the man, now across the room sitting on a bench, was literally watching me. I wanted to show him that I was annoyed by this, so I simply got up, walked up the 3 carpeted stairs, and sat down on the bench in front of a wall that would block my view from him. Stupid old me didn't figure this would allow him to do whatever he wanted not being within my vision. Within minutes, I realized this was dumb and went back to sitting on the step, only now the man was gone. Kathy returned around the same time that the last of the moviegoers were leaving. I told her about the guy, and she said she left the door unlocked by mistake. I spent about 10 minutes sweeping up in some of the auditorium rooms before my shift was officially over. Kathy wanted me to do one more favor before leaving. Bring the mop, bucket, and broom down into the storage den. I did as she asked, opened the door in the lobby which leads to the storage area, walked down the half-flight of concrete stairs with the mop, broom, and bucket, and stopped. Behind one of the boilers, I could see as clear as day an arm tucked away in the corner. It was the man, and he was very clearly trying to hide. I pretended like I didn't notice and walked back up the stairs. I locked the door behind me and ran to Kathy. She checked the camera footage first, and this is where things got disturbing.
Stupid thing.
Within the period of time that I was hiding from the man,
No, ma'am. I'm sorry. This this is how I know I couldn't have no job like this, where it's like late night and ain't hardly nobody else around, and these creepy people be trying to come in and rob. Nah, whoever it is, you ain't leaving me patrolling no area by myself that's this large. Okay. No, and I'm only 16. Like, what do I do? What's the protocol when somebody tries to come in after close? Do I get a taser? Do I get like a battering ram, a nightstick, or what? Because if somebody's like, no, I'm not leaving, and I'm about to take y'all out with me, what do I do? You know, Kathy should be fired.
the surveillance cameras caught him getting up and leaving the theater. Kathy seemed surprised and declared, "That's my ex-husband." I felt like my heart was starting to drop as she said this, and I was starting to put things together. I assured her there was in fact somebody down there. She took out her cell phone and dialed not for 911, but rather for her ex-husband as she left the building. I followed her, afraid to stay in the theater alone.
Why would you call him? If some creepy man is peeking, coming, and hiding behind stuff, and this is clearly your ex-husband, why would you call him? Why wouldn't you call the police?
Kathy suddenly started to panic, as it seemed her ex-husband hung up the phone on her. She then called the cops, and what she explained to them shocked and disturbed me. When she hung up the phone, she was in a panic, and she tugged me away from the building. It turned out her ex-husband arrived to the theater to get her out of there, because he had apparently run into some trouble with a guy he knew who threatened to kill Kathy for whatever messed up reason. The cop cars pulled up into the parking lot with their sirens blaring. Minutes later, they came out with some old Italian mobster-looking guy in cuffs. Kathy never showed up for work after that, and I was never able to get the full backstory out from anyone. I was the coolest guy at the theater for a while since I witnessed all of this. I just really wish I got the full story though, because it really interested me. I never saw Kathy, her ex-husband, or that random guy who potentially almost killed me had I approached him ever again.
Child. I guess these these were alright. They kind of were all relatively the same. Some creepy person in the theater that you can't see. So I'll do another one of these soon. It won't be as long as the gap between the last one and this one. So I'll do another one just because this one was a little meh. The lockdown story was pretty good though. But thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.